Welcome to the Golf Improvement Podcast, episode 74.
Welcome to the podcast for golf lovers and enthusiasts who are looking to take their games to new heights. Dedicated to custom club fitting, short game improvement, and effective practice to improve your golf game. This is the Golf Improvement Podcast with your host, Tony Wright.
Hello, this is Tony Wright from Game Improvement Golf in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, with the Golf Improvement Podcast, dedicated to bringing you useful information on custom club fitting, short game improvement, and effective practice techniques to take your game to new heights. I am very excited that you will get to listen to this interview with Adam Young today. And a little while ago, I re-listened to it, and here's a couple of small quotes that really hit me on the head. Coordination will trump technique every day. In responding to some people's questions about how to hit the sweet spot, he said doing so is a subtle blend of different movements. Now, for me, even though I talk about these things a lot, sometimes it takes a while to hit me enough on the head, but I personally, when I practice, I probably practice a lot more for perfection than I really know I should. And practicing for perfection doesn't do those things that were in those few quotes that I talked about a little earlier. How about changing the paradigm and talk about awareness practice, at least a lot? As Adam said in an interview, banging balls sometimes is a lot of fun, or practicing different kinds of games. But my commitment right now, this year, is I know I have one can of Dr. Scholl's foot spray in my locker. I'm going to get another one. Is to take that can out every time. A lot of the shots that I hit when I'm in the practice range now, admittedly, a lot of times it's more an hour or so before I play the one time a week that I do. But to just simply be aware of where my contacts are on the face and spend some time seeing if I can change those. A whole different type of thing to do in terms of what you do when you're hitting balls. So that's my commitment this year to do. That one thing. And see what happens. And for you, maybe do it for a month or two and see what happens to what your ball striking is like, or your awareness of what you do. So anyhow, that's my little soapbox for the morning before this interview. But you are going to enjoy this terrific interview with Adam Young from Adam Young Golf. Hello, this is Tony Wright with the Golf Improvement Podcast, and welcome back, Adam Young from Adam.
Hi, Tony. How are you?
Yeah, it's great to have you, although, like we talked before, you and I both have some kind of bug, but I don't think we got it from each other.
Yeah.
Adam's the author of, and as he says, and I think it's true, an international bestseller, The Practice Manual. I got to speak with you in August of 2005. It's good to have you back. And you've been got a couple other interesting things and changes going on. So we're going to talk some about that and also about some things in a recent blog post. So, again, welcome. I'm really looking forward to listening to what you got to say today.
Thanks for having me on, Tony.
Yeah. Well, first of all, talk a little bit about your relocation to California, how that happened, how it's going.
Well, it's always been my dream to work in America, and I've always thought that California would be the best place to be as well, because of all the movies and the pictures that I see, and everybody says they're great as well. And then Santa Barbara out of California is probably one of the best places. So it was really a kind of 10 or 20-year plan that got bypassed and got straight here. It happened just through Facebook. That's how I've got most of my jobs, actually. But, you're on the same forums that we're on. So the forums with 4,000 golf professionals all arguing golf swing. And it's really, really good, really educational. And Don Parsons, the guy who owns the place here and runs the place, he liked my way of thinking. I liked his way of thinking as well. And so we kind of teamed up, and he had a space available and said, what's the chance of getting you out here? And we thought at the time that it wouldn't happen. It's very difficult to get a visa for America, but luckily with the book and certain other things that have happened, it allowed me to get the visa that I wanted. And a year later, I'm here.
Yeah, and I went back and looked at the post you wrote about that, and you certainly did mention that a big thanks to whoever got you to do that. Don was at the PGA show too, wasn't he? I think I didn't say hi to him, but he was, I think, at Open Forum, wasn't he?
Yes, yeah, he was. He did a live lesson also.
Yeah, that was kind of neat. So, well, it's great that you're here.
Thank you.
Interesting that you did something. I don't know, what was it 6 months ago that the strike plan came out? Something like that, right?
Yeah, so I created a video series. It started out, I was thinking, well, I want to create some simple things for lessons, some visuals. So I started creating them. I was thinking about maybe doing a half-hour presentation and putting it online for my email list. And it just started turning out. I started doing more and more and thinking, wow, this is actually quite good. It's one of those few projects where you start out with an idea and the finished product is 10 times better than you thought it would be, which is quite strange. Normally it's the reverse, but just got really into it. And I've created a 3-hour video series. It's all broken down into really easy bite-sized modules, so you can bite it off at sort of 10 or 20 minutes at a time. And it's just discussing lots of concepts that amateur golfers don't understand, some really simple things that I and other professionals use to play good golf, that when you say to even a 20 handicap or someone who's been playing 20 years and you say this to them, they go, I never thought about it that way. That's really simple. So after years of doing that, I thought, well, let's give this to the masses. There are lots of techniques in there as well. I have talked a little about the technical aspects of how to strike it effectively, and then put a lot of skill drills in there, which is a very important part for me. So how to develop these skills on the range, at home, using simple things that you can buy from your local store.
Like checkers and I went back. I felt like it was appropriate to go back and look at all these. So I rewatched the videos over the last 3 or 4 days, and so things like checkers and towels and tees and using the sand trap. But sort of the big basis of it is I think anybody that ever plays golf thinks about or has heard about low point, right? And that's one of the sort of the base principles there. But there's so many things that can affect that. and you've described a lot of it, so.
That's it, yeah. And part of this is, understanding the complexity of all of it in order to teach it simplicity. And often in lessons, I'll say to someone, just do this. And they go, it can't be that simple. I say, well, we'll try it. And then it works. And they go, oh, this really works. It is that simple. But at the same time, through all the studying, I understand the deep complexity behind it. And it's sometimes so complex. There's so many factors that go into something simple that you have no choice but to go with the simple thought. That's why I use these, towel drills, tee drills, things like that, in order to develop coordination. Whereas I think lots of golfers are so obsessed with the technical aspects of it, which, they're important parts in it. But, coordination will trump technique every day.
Well, one of the big things that you did, and boy, I apologize if I forget the original, maybe it was Diagonal Strike. I said rewatch it, and The Truth. I wrote some notes, right? So you had one, you had one section where you said, well, you do this, you do this, you do this, and there were about 5 or 10 things. And then the next element of the video, which was like almost the most important part to me, was you're never going to learn this if you try to do it based on trying to create motions, but you got to find tasks to do.
Exactly. So I
think to accomplish, right?
That's it. Yeah. The motions themselves. So if you're working on your technique, that's to just get the general movement pattern into somewhere acceptable, somewhere that you can hit golf shots from. So say, for example, someone's low point is behind the ball because say their weight is too far on their back foot at impact, then they might not have the ability to hit a good shot from there. They're going to really struggle to hit good shots with their weight on their back foot. So getting the low point in front of the ball now opens up the opportunity to hit good shots, but it still requires coordination. You'd only have to look at the top tour pros to say that, their swing from one swing to the next looks identical, but they can have days where they hit 100% fairways and they can miss 70% fairways some days also with the same looking swing. So there's still an element of coordination there. And, someone asked me recently, and I get this question a lot, how do I hit the sweet spot every single time? And I said, well, if I knew that, I'd be a millionaire, I'd be on tour. But also you can't hit the sweet spot every single time. We're always going to miss it to a certain amount. But the reality is we also do it different ways every single time. So even a tour pro who's hitting that sweet spot over and over, they're going to use a subtle blend of or different combinations of movements. Now, they might not be able to see it on video camera, but they are there. There are studies on it showing that every single time a pro swings a club, they swing it slightly differently. And it's different enough to cause big changes in strike if it weren't coordinated. It's a really, really deep topic.
Oh, I know. It's fascinating too, right? Yeah.
But yeah, a true answer to how do I hit the sweet spot is, well, you have to coordinate about 100 different variables. All of them are moving. All of them are different every single time. And so the combinations, the possibility of combinations are infinite. And somehow our brain is able to coordinate it all if it's given the right focus and the right task.
Yeah.
Now, what most golfers do is they disrupt this ability to coordinate by thinking too much about where's my left shoulder or where's my arm, what's my arm doing? And they actually disrupt their natural ability to coordinate these things. The analogy I would say is if you reach for a glass of water, we have to coordinate our elbow movement, our shoulder movement, our wrist movement, our finger movement. But we can do that beautifully just by thinking of picking up the glass of water. Now, if you were to isolate one part of that movement, such as your wrist movement, and you had to focus solely on that, you'd actually disrupt your ability to pick up the glass of water. Or throwing a ball into a bucket. Studies have been done on it. Focus on the bucket. Focus on throwing a ball into a bucket. And they get X amount in. Okay, now focus on where you release the ball out of your hand, what angle you release it. And by isolating that one variable, people inevitably hole less or hit the bucket less often. So while it might be part of the learning process to focus on movement, if you're after performance, it can disrupt it. So it's doing the right things at the right time also.
Yeah, we don't understand how fantastic we are, do we? In a way.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? and or allow ourselves to be that way as much as we should.
I mean, lots of it is cultural ingraining. You watch television and you hear the commentators talk about, oh, look how X player is moving their body here, and so we run out thinking that's the secret. Oh, I can't wait to try that. I've been there. I've been that golfer also. Or you pick up a magazine and it tells you, it gives you a breakdown of someone's golf swing, and so yeah, it's easy to get to buy into the symptoms or the exterior. How things look, how the movement is, and completely neglect the things you can't see, like coordination or what thought processes someone's using.
Well, I think this is definitely a plug, but that's not why I had you on. Golfers that want to play a little better, right? That even if they could just pick out 7 or 8 of the task drills from what you have in the strike plan and put that into their practice.
Oh, I mean,
they would get a huge benefit.
Just two of them, a divot strike, looking at where the divot is in relation to the ball and actually doing some diligent practice with that, and the Dr. Scholl's foot spray as well on the face to see where they're actually striking on the face. So many golfers come to me, I've completely lost my game. I spray the club face, let them hit a few shots, and they go, look where I'm striking it. I go, yeah, that's why you've lost your game. and you think, so where have you been looking for the answer? And they go, well, my friend told me that I wasn't turning my shoulders enough, so I've been trying to do that. And I think, okay, well, let's go back to what actually creates a good shot before we start working on those more advanced things.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. Well, your new role in Santa Barbara is, but we're going to come back to some of the stuff that we talked about again at the end, because there's a quote later I want to talk about. But your new role is group coaching, and I'm guessing that's a little bit different than what you did in Spain, right?
Yeah, and in Spain it was. In Spain it was individual, so people come along for a lesson. I might have them for a week or so. This is more like a gym membership, so people pay a monthly fee, and they get access to 20 sessions a week if they want. No one does that because that's a lot of hours to be practicing, but we have people who come for maybe an hour a week. We have people who come for 2 hours a day sometimes. So they definitely get the money's worth in purely in hitting balls at the very least. But I'm there to guide them. I set up the tasks for them. So it's more like supervised practice, but I can also jump in and give everybody sort of 5 minutes of individual attention as well.
Yeah. So are there synergies then with people watching each other that are different than sort of individual? I mean, do you see things that once in a while just somebody gets more aha type moments about doing things from that kind of a environment? I mean, something that I've learned that I knew this was always the case, but really simple concepts can sometimes take a long time to really get across. So something as simple as where did you strike on the club face? For many players, that can be automatic. They know straight away. But for lots of players, I'd say the majority of players, it might take a good month before they start to even build an awareness of, that was a toe strike or that was a heel strike. Yeah. I have players who've played the game for 20 years and they still can't feel it. Until they start doing the group coaching and doing all the drills, and then they gain a much better awareness for it. Yeah, it seems like a unique environment to me. I don't know of many places that have that. I mean, you're probably aware of who does, but any other things about that process that, and what's going on there, and what's been the most exciting part for you about doing that?
Well, it's good to see the development of players. Normally it was come to me for a week. You do the 4-day program while they're on their holiday, usually, because it was a resort. And so you see a big jump in their improvement and understanding in that week, but then I might never see them again, or I might never see them until they come for their holiday next year. This is good because I get to see them week after week, so I see their improvement. I can drip feed information to them. So it's more timely for them, as opposed to being a bit of overload. And so, the exciting thing for me is everyone in the program has improved. They've all come back, usually within a week or so. They say, I've shot my best score ever. And that's really nice to see and hear. So they're all like my individual project. And yes, that's really exciting for me to see. And I'm learning from it as well, having to keep adults who are coming maybe 2 hours a day, having to keep them entertained and keep everything fresh for them. So I'm constantly coming up with new ideas, new drills, new ways of setting up stations. And so, I'm learning just as much as they are. So
the sessions are 2 hours a day when they come? Is that what you're saying?
Well, we have about between 3 and 4 opportunities for them to come. So we'd have like a 10 to 11 session and 11 till 12, and then some in the evening also. And so they can come to as many of those as they want. They have to sign up first. So there's a certain amount of space in each session. yeah, some people will come for up to 3 hours a day sometimes if they can manage it. So they enjoy it. They love it. It's, it doesn't feel like training to them because it's lots of gamified practice. It's a good environment there. People are very supportive. We've got a good mix. Some are single figure handicappers, some are complete beginners, and they all mix really well.
So do you think then now when they're more on their own that they get out of the ball banging realm then? Have you seen any evidence of that because they changed their own paradigm about what they do?
If I'm honest, no.
Funny, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but to be honest, most of them don't really practice on their own anymore because if they're going to practice, they sign up for one of our sessions.
Yeah.
So some of them do practice, and their practice has improved. So if I see one of them practicing on their own, I notice that they do change the clubs a little bit more. So yeah, they're getting there with it, but people love the instant gratification of beating a ton of balls towards one target, and I like that as well. Sometimes I just want to feel good about my game. So
just hit it a little bit, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, and as you know, Adam, I sort of partly because I wasn't feeling well today, and I just cheated a little bit and put your recent blog post in my blog post today. But
yeah.
You had a post called, and I just thought this was terrific. The hidden secret behind hitting perfect straight shots, and I'm going to quote something from there, and then let you talk about it a little bit. It said, okay. The secret to a long-lasting ability to hit straight shots is not one mechanical swing secret, but an ability to call upon feels which can recreate an undesirable shot pattern. These feels are things which you can draw upon no matter what your swing mechanics look like or no matter what shot patterns you are naturally producing on the day. What a statement, boy.
It's a big quote.
Yeah, well, I thought it was important to do that. So, you talked maybe some about that earlier, but maybe a little more amplification,
So, this started, I was hitting shots in front of the group coaching, and I wanted to prove a point to them. So I started hitting shots towards the target, and afterwards I said, what do you see? So I'd hit 10 shots, and they all said, wow, they were all so straight. None of them left the target. You're like a robot. And so from the outside, they're looking at my swing thinking, oh, I'm so consistent. I'm doing the same thing every time. But what they didn't see, the hidden secret, is what's going on in my head to hit those shots. So for the next 10 shots, I verbalized my thought process. So I hit one shot, and it went a little left. Not enough to call it a left shot. But I said, okay, that went a little left. I know that club face is a bit too close to the path. So I'm going to feel like the club face is a little bit more open for the next one. And I hit another shot, and I slightly pushed it. And so I verbalized to them, okay, that shot was a little bit too open with the club face. I'm going to feel somewhere in between. And so after every shot, I verbalized what happened in the last shot and what I was trying to feel for the next shot in order to straighten the shot out. And basically every single shot that I hit, I was feeling something. So I was trying to feel like the club was more open or more closed. I never at any point felt like the club face was square at impact in order to hit a straight shot. And I was changing that based on the previous shot as well. So they couldn't see that, but that's what I was using to calibrate the ball flight to where I want.
But a lot of that has to come from kind of the way of practicing of hitting it on the toe and hitting it on the heel and hitting it here and hitting it there, doesn't it?
Exactly.
To understand where all those things, to have created those feels,
Exactly. So how do you create those feels? I said to people, or people said to me, but I don't yet have those feels for how to open the face. And I said, well, okay, let's learn them. So we got in the bays, and I said, hit a few shots to the right for me, open the face, and they could all do it. Hit a few shots to the left, they could all do it. That's step one. The next is to learn how to apply certain doses of that. So you can ramp up or down that feeling of opening the face or closing the face. You might have mechanical tools for doing it. It might be a grip change to open the face or close it. It might be a backswing thought, or it might be a pure feeling. For me personally, if I want to feel like the club face stays open to the path, it feels more like a karate chop to me.
Huh.
Whereas if I want to close the face to the path, I feel a little bit like a tennis topspin shot. So a little bit like the face rotates over.
Yeah.
I was watching Tiger Woods' clinic from 2001, and he was saying the same thing when he was shaping shots. So this is the thing, professionals, they know how to change the shape of the ball, the shape of the shot. Amateurs don't practice for that, therefore they don't develop those skills.
And it's not that amateurs are all going to get to be, at the level of professionals, but certainly they can get better, right?
Of course, yeah. And I would expect a golfer to be able to shape it 5 yards or hit a 2-yard fade. But I'd want golfers to at least have a basic understanding of how can you hit the ball more right? How can you hit the ball more left? How can you hit the toe more? How can you hit the heel more? Because you have to call upon those feels if a bad shot occurs one day. So, this is something I asked Preston, our other pro, the other day. I said, say you're on the course and a shank pops up. For whatever reason, you start shanking it. What do you do, and how long does it take you to fix it? And so he said, I do X. And he said, if I don't fix it in one shot, it's a failure. Now, most golfers they don't have those fixes in place. So if a golfer starts shanking it on the course, they're done. Their round is done because they haven't learned, well, how do I fix this? And you can't fix it on the course, it's too late.
Yeah.
So you've got, the part of the range work is let's develop fixes for faults that come up. But let's do these before they actually come up, before the faults actually come up. Let's learn how to fix a shank before it even comes up. Let's learn how to fix a toe shot before it comes up. Let's learn how to fix a hook before it comes up.
That's cool stuff. Like you're becoming your own doctor, right?
Yeah, it's just a different way of practicing. Most golfers are practicing for perfection. They're practicing and trying to groove one swing. But the reality of golf is it's not like that. I've been playing for years, and every single day is a lottery. When I wake up, am I going to be hitting it left today? Am I going to be hitting it right? The difference with me is I can identify what's happening, and I can rectify it really quickly because I've practiced changing, not because I've practiced grooving one motion.
We were... It's funny how things come up over and over in things. I mentioned the open forum, and I don't know if you heard this story, but David Orr asked Stan Utley. Mm-hmm. He said, okay, you're on a course. What happens when you don't seem to have the putter doesn't seem to be working? And he says, I got about a dozen feels.
Yeah.
And I can call on some of these different feels to make a change, and I'm fully confident in them. And that just, to me, that was almost made it worth on its own going to the open forum to hear that, and it's very similar to what you just said. Yeah. It was really fascinating.
That's it.
Well, Adam, great interview again. I'm going to give you sort of the final word here, and a couple of things you want to mention at the end for golfers to help them play a little bit better.
Play their best. Yes, one of the main things, I suppose, going with the strike plan, one of the main things is if you can strike the ball more consistently, you're going to play better. It's as simple as that. If you improve the quality of strike, you're going to get more consistent distances, which is huge. Being pin high is absolutely huge. Most golfers miss long or short more than they do side to side. But also improving strike quality will improve your side to side, especially with things such as the driver, because a toe or heel shot can cause the ball to go offline. And so what does strike consist of? Consists of two things: your ground strike and whether you've hit the sweet spot or not. So 2 drills to practice. For ground strike, practicing looking at the divot, where your divot is. One of the things that I use at the moment is putting a bit of Dr. Scholl's foot spray at the bottom of the club, right on the sole of the club. Hover the club, swing back and hit your shot, and it'll leave a mark on the driving range mat as to where your club has first touched the ground.
I never thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one. And people will often be really surprised. They often look for the mark and they say, well, I can't see it. And then I point a foot behind the ball and I say, that's where you hit it. And they go, no way. And then same thing with the Dr. Scholl's foot spray for face strike. Spray the entire club face. Just a light spray will do. Hit your shot and it'll leave a ball imprint on the face so you can check your patterns. And most people will have a very consistent pattern. It just might not be consistently on the center of the club face.
Great suggestions. Well, Adam, thanks again for doing this. Both of us will recover a little bit from our colds. I'm going to put a link into where you are now, and again to the practice manual, but also to the strike plan in the show notes. And great information for golfers today. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you for having me on.
You bet.
Taking your game to new heights. www.gameimprovementgolf.com.
Adam, thanks again for doing this interview with me. Another terrific chance to learn from you about how golfers can play their best and also practice their best. So I have put links in the show notes for where to find Adam Young at his new location in Santa Barbara, California, how to purchase his terrific video set called The Strike Plan, how to purchase the practice manual, which is a must-read book on how to improve how you practice to improve your game and to perform at your best, and also a link to the blog post we discussed in the interview about the hidden secret behind perfectly straight shots. Well, that's it for today. In 2 weeks, another return engagement, this time from Jeff Sheets from Jeff Sheets Golf, who a few weeks ago did a very popular interview with me talking about driver head design. This time, we'll discuss iron and wedge head design. I look forward to talking with you again, Jeff. See you in 2 weeks.
Game Improvement Golf, your source of information and inspiration to become an exceptional golfer now. www.gameimprovementgolf.com